Guys, Happy Jim with Park ADV, and I'm working on the mighty DR 650. That's a 2014. It's been a project bike of ours since we got it, and I've been doing a segment on it that I'm getting ready to post out there. But how do we replace the wheel bearings without bearing pullers? So here's the wheel bearing right here, and you can take a heat gun and run it around, or an air dryer, and what that's going to do is heat the metal up, heat up the aluminum. So you're going to run it around like this. Just to get that aluminum to swell, to release the bearing. Some people will throw like the bearings in the freezer, stuff like that, to shrink it up. I don't do it. I don't want the metal fragile and brittle. But if you heat up your hub, don't take a whole lot really. Then take your wheel, support it on blocks like I've got here, and I'm going to take the spacer. I'm going to put it down in there. It's going to hit the back side of that bearing. And then I'm going to take this socket. That's too small. But I'm going to whack that. I'm going to get a socket on top of it, and I'm going to drive that bearing out. Tap, 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 and it'll push that bearing out. There's the bearing. See? So I press that bearing out. And the way I'm going to put them in is just reversal. I'm going to clean all this up really good. I'm going to take the new bearing, get it squared up on there, and then I'm just going to tap around it to get it seated good. And then maybe lay something flat over it, hit it in the middle, because you want it even pressure to press the bearing down. You don't want it cockeyed. If they go cockeyed on you, it's going to be really hard to push it in, and you have to, get it out of there. So make sure you got your bearing going in even and straight, and you'll be able to press it all the way down. And when it's in the bottom here, you'll feel it. It'll be a solid bump. You reach your finger back in there, make sure, because your bearing needs to seat on that ridge right there. So, and the way you can check your bearings when it's on your bike is just wobble your tire. Wiggle it back and forth and see if you feel play. Lift up and down on it. There shouldn't be any play. The worst thing that we want when we're out on a ride is to have a bearing fail. So they're not that expensive, and you can spend the time to take care of it yourself. So once my new bearings came, I pressed the old ones out, knocked them out, and you want to make sure to compare your bearings to make sure the new ones, just because they sent them doesn't mean they're the right ones. So compare your bearings and make sure that they're identical. Place them side by side, place them on top of each other. Look at the width of your bearing. I mean, really, you got to have the exact bearing. Check the borehole size to the existing borehole size. Compare your bearings, because like I said, a lot of stuff we're doing today is ordering online, and it doesn't mean that it's the right stuff. Okay, so I got my new bearing. It's clean, and I've got it set. And I'm going to take a big flat surface, and I'm going to lay it. And do not put it right here, because you can damage the bearings. Make sure it's hitting the outer ring, full coverage, and start tapping that bearing in like this. And watch the bearing as you're doing it so it don't go crooked. You should be able to tap it right in. So I'm going to show you. This socket covers the whole bearing, but it's too big than the actual outer hole. I'm just using it as a surface, and this is kind of what you're going to do. You'll feel it going down, and it'll start tightening up. And then you want to check and make sure that you're pretty much headed in the right direction. And if it's a little high on one side, just hit your socket on that side and get it leveled off, and then start driving it in. Okay. Wow! I don't know how much of that we got.